Hello, you guys. Happy Monday. I'm here. It's almost dusk. As you can see, we have our snow. We had quite a bit of snow. It's melted just a little bit today, so it was thicker. It kind of looks like a meringue, if you will, like a sort of like a wet meringue that hasn't been cooked yet. The roads are pretty bad. It snowed Friday, sub-zero temperatures, and then Saturday was snow all day, and then all night Saturday night. I didn't go to work Saturday night. I stayed home and tried to stay warm, watched a movie. I didn't want to drive in it because I didn't know, if I got there, okay, fine, but what was getting home going to be like, because we had round 2 of snow. So I just stayed home. But then I had to work double yesterday, so I had to drive in it 4 times, on the way to work, on the way back, on the way to work, on the way back. So that's like, I spent 2 hours on the road in the snow basically yesterday. But anyway, I did it. I went to work, and Saturday, let's just talk about Saturday. I know I made some posts. I've already really talked about this, but it's just a day or 2 later, still processing like everyone else the horrible events of what happened in Minneapolis. And of course, we know now that there's a lot of things you can't say anymore, even though, like I've said, if you don't want us to talk about things because they're bad, then don't do bad things, because we are observing, we're seeing, if it's that bad that I can't talk about it, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it. But anyway, it's sad, so I stayed home, watched the snow all day, and watched the events of the world, the very horrible events. And it was so weird, because a beautiful snow day, right? Like, this is beautiful right now, but it was really pretty when the snow was falling. So I had that, but then I also had that grief, like a feeling of, and I've heard other people say this, I think I said it in my video on Saturday too. I know I told my kids, I said it, this is almost as bad, if not worse, than 9/11. And I'll tell you why. Because with 9/11, it was shocking and it was horrible, but we knew it was somebody else that did it. And we united together against that somebody else, that enemy outside of America. And we were united together in the cause of protecting each other and getting, not revenge, but getting, justice for what happened on 9/11. And now it's inside. It's among us. It's like knowing that, it's kind of like zombies or rabies, people around you that have this disease of hatred and violence, and like a diseased human being. Because you have to be diseased to want to kill somebody. Now, there's something different about, okay, you have to defend your life, right? Defending your life is a completely different story, which is why in courtrooms, if you've had to defend yourself with violence or anything like that, you have, what is it, the stand your ground clause. That's different, and nobody wants to be in that situation ever. Nobody ever wants to be in that situation. It's different when humans actually want to kill each other. Like, even animals, beyond having to eat for food, most animals don't kill. They coexist. They protect their food, they protect their domain, but they generally don't kill unless it's to protect. They don't get a thrill out of kill. And so, okay, so somebody could say, well, we're just trying to protect from immigrants here. But we're all immigrants, all of us. The whole idea of America is immigration. We're all immigrants. So when I turn into Jerry Seinfeld, sorry, it does happen. So who are you trying to protect? What are you really trying to protect here? That's the thing that gets me. This whole thing about, well, we have to get rid of the illegal immigrants, and now they're saying they're rapists and they're violent criminals, but you killed a guy. You killed just a citizen, American citizen. You killed the good guy. The good guy with the gun that you've all told us that we need a good guy with a gun, and you killed him. And he didn't even have his hands on the gun. He was being so good that he was protecting 2 women, which is what we all say a good guy would do, right? I can't tell you how many times I've heard men say, oh, I'd go down there and I would do this and I would, yeah. Look what happens. And now they're blaming the guy and calling him a terrorist, which is like sacrilege. It's just fucking awful. Excuse my French. Excuse my French. Boy, you should hear me when I'm not on camera. I am Irish after all. I'll try to not do that. But by the way, you might hear icicles. It's some of the snow melted today, and we have icicles everywhere. And they're falling off. So, yeah, you know, okay, so 9/11 was the outside enemy, and we united together. Now we have this rabies of this wild, you don't know why. There's no motivation. Why? Well, because someone might be an immigrant. And that's the thing, too. Okay, I gotta, like, try to focus myself, but so, you know, they're saying, we were just there trying to do standard operation to get rapists off the streets of, you know, America. That's not what we're seeing. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing total chaos and no accountability. We're seeing violence. It really is like if you open up the gates of hell, or you open up prisons, right? And you said, go free for all, go out there, do what you got, you know. And I really think that's it. Now, someone did bring that up to me on social media because I was saying, what's the motivation here? And I talked about the whole thing where I felt like they were taking meth and steroids, and people really responded to that. And then someone said, well, I think that Trump let prisoners out and pardoned them. And I was like, you know, that resonates. And I think it's all of that. But the behavior is that of rapists and murderers, and with no account, and he's given them complete immunity. It's clear they have no immunity. But the thing that really got me was I was saying, you know, it's almost like in a gang when you can't leave. Once you join, you can't leave because you know too much. And so once you're in a gang, once you've bitten the apple, the poison apple, you're in forever. You're in until with, you know, like a death pact. And everything I say is for entertainment purposes only, not fact. But it's like a death pact where you can't leave. So if you join, like people are saying, I'll just, not me, but I've heard people online say, well, I'll just join and then not really do the stuff, and that way I can infiltrate it. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that, so don't come for me. I don't know them personally. But the thing is, I think that's not how it's working. I think that they know. In fact, there was somebody talked to a girl, and I saw her video online, and she said, oh, no, I saw her post online weeks ago, and she said, oh, I sort of signed up for icy roads, and just jokingly or whatnot, because she wasn't really serious, and then let it go. And she had she had a traffic ticket or some DUI from a long time ago, and then she found out that they accepted her. And that kind of like fits where they want to pick the bad people, that not that she's bad, that she's recovered and all that stuff, but they want to pick criminals. They want criminals. They don't want people who follow the law. They want people who have no morals and no compassion and no standards. They want people who are going to just do whatever and do the worst of the worst, because I think that 45 and Miller and others really want that. They want total death and destruction and chaos on the streets of America. And in 2016, when Trump started to come around, and after he had done the whole birther thing with Obama, because I remember all that, and he was seriously running for president, and I was like, you guys, this isn't good. I'm getting bad vibes. And I started to say, you know, I think he's like Hitler from Germany. And people were like, no, you're so stupid. He's not him. That's such a stupid comparison. I was like, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that he's like Hitler from Germany. This is way back in 2016. I was like, you don't want this guy. Believe me, you don't want him. This is going to be bad, real bad. And I have to admit, I did think, if you get this guy in office, it's going to be like letting the demons from hell unleashed on the earth. But here's the thing: his first 4 years, he did not have immunity, and that's the key. Hold on, Kitty wants out. I'll open the door. I know. Can I do this? You went out there, Karen? Hold on, I'm gonna get your dinners in there. I know your dinner's cooking. Well, anyway, so the key with 45 is that he had immunity. He didn't have immunity. Now, and this time he doesn't, and that's one of the key things, is that he's allowed to do all this because he's allowed. There's no rules anymore, and he's got complicit people allowing him because they're all sort of drawn in by the money and their crimes, their guilt by association, and just their own original guilt that they've done. And so they're all this den of thieves, I swear. So he likes, for entertainment purpose only, he likes criminals. That's what he wants. He wanted people that would do the worst of the worst because that's his dream. I really feel like he always thought, what if? And he hates us because we didn't vote for him. And that's the thing, he knows we didn't vote for him. Anyway, I'll try to rein this in. Yeah, he's clearly punishing America. Narcissistic rage. Classic. I mean, I knew, but I actually couldn't ever imagine it being this bad, but I think we all knew, right? Well, anyway, moving on. It really is like hell on earth right now. There's no other way to say it. It's hell on earth. And Minnesota, now they're saying Chicago maybe. Chicago was already targeted. But here's my thing. Their original point always goes back to, but we have to get these criminals off the streets. But that's not what they're doing. They're not finding criminals. They're just finding immigrants. They're finding people with brown skin and accents. And we're all immigrants, all of us. It's just, and they're killing people erroneously with no jurisdiction, no oversight. They're putting them back after all this. They're not doing any forensic or criminal examinations. They're just putting them back, these murderers who have no self-control, who I believe were let out of prison, just like opening the gates of hell and letting demons all over the earth. 45 let murderers and rapists out of prison to do his dirty work, to scare us and punish us. I really think that's what it is. So the key thing would be, you get control, you take away immunity for 45, and you put the criminals back in jail. And they're doing the crimes now, so they should be put in jail for the crimes they're doing. Now let's go back to Alex. Okay, so Alex, Freddie. I mean, he's such a beautiful human being. Did not deserve what happened. And, you know, it could be anybody's best friend, boyfriend, husband, son. And you know, another thing, other countries I've been seeing a lot lately as the fever pitch is rising, and other people from other countries are saying things like, you Americans are just letting this happen. Why don't you do something? Now I think everybody understands why. And unfortunately, we just have in cold bloodshed. Okay. Rein it back in. This poor guy. So I already talked about what I feel like happened. You know, I put the pictures, I took still shots of the pictures to show that he had no gun. And that he was an innocent guy. His crime was being nice. So they're just killing nice people. He's a nice guy. He was the good guy. We're not supposed to protect women. All the guys out there, I'll protect women. I would do anything. You gotta. That's why all these guys have these guns and have concealed carry, so they can protect women. Ain't nobody gonna hurt my girlfriend or my good lady down the street. I'll be there. I'll protect her. I'm the good guy with the gun. And now they're calling the good guy with the gun a terrorist. Just because he was a good guy and had a nice heart. He was a nice guy. So there goes that whole theory of the good guy with the gun. So then, now they're trying to say, oh, well, we'll have to limit concealed carry. No. Now, I don't like guns, but I've never said we should take away everyone's guns. Yeah, idealistically, it would be nice to not have guns anywhere. That would be nice. But I know that that's, not good, because, especially in America, people are really attached to it. It's part of like guns, God, and whatever else, gun, God, and girls. I don't know what it is, but you're not going to take away people's guns. And it goes back to like Daniel Boone and their hunting rifle and protecting the family and their cabin and all that stuff, and protecting themselves from the British Army and the King George and all that shit. It's just part of our culture, and you're just part of our rights. If you want your rights, they got to have their rights. So gun owners have to have their right. But the whole thing was, good guy with a gun supposed to allow that. Not supposed to infringe. Shall not infringe. So now 45 is going to infringe. Instead of admitting failure and that he was wrong and saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but Christy Noem, she comes out. I was like, God, you can't stand it. She's going to come out on the Sunday morning talk shows and say, well, they came after me. They boo-booed my... They gave a boo-boo to my agent, and you don't want to know. You don't want to know the name I have for her. But it's gotten to be so ridiculous. And then Carolyn Levitt today was like, we have, you guys are just trying to let us, we just want to do our job, and you guys are unleashing all these criminals on us. There's no accountability, no proof that anyone's a criminal. They're just grabbing people and killing them. Didn't even have a proper examination or forensic research. Her, Renee Good or Alex Preddy and the others, they just treat their bodies like trash. They didn't even call the parents. They didn't do any of that. There's no protocol, no honor, nothing. Just treated the bodies like trash. That's unimaginable. I feel like we are going to have this government shutdown, which is, when nobody wants that, but it'll be good to stop this. It's like when you have a leak, believe me, I know this theory, when you have a leak and then the water turns off and you're like, shoo, well, I don't have water, but at least it's not leaking anymore. And so it's going to be a good thing when we have a government shutdown, because it will stop the funding. Now, I believe they already have money, and I believe that 45 already gets money from illicit places for entertainment purpose only, so they're funding in ways that we'll never understand, like I said the other day. But it's almost like, okay, let's go to a gas leak. When they put scent in the gas so you can smell if there's a gas leak, because gas doesn't have a scent. They add that. So this will be like, let's stop the money flow, and if this Icy Roads group keeps going and keeps getting funding, then they could ask, where are you getting the money from? So it's almost like this is completely necessary. Now, I saw the money was going to run out anyway by summertime because of, well, they're going to have massive lawsuits, and 45 is just not going to have the money. The way the economy is going, the farmers are saying that they can't make it much longer, and the stores, even Aldi had to raise their prices. I mean, it's just bad. So I feel like he wouldn't even have the money. But yeah, we need the shutdown to stop, and then say, if money shows up to fund Icy Roads, where are they getting it from? Where's this money coming from? Then they could start to put a track on the money, which I feel like money at this point, I hate to say it, but I feel like money should be tracked, because how did Putin fund his attack on Ukraine all these years? Where's he getting all that money? So anyway, that's what I think is going to happen. I feel like there is going to be a shutdown, and they're going to track how 45 is able to fund this group, which he's using as a terrorist threat against Americans. And that's the thing too. Okay, so Tim Waltz came out last night after, who was it? Was it Bondi that said, and they're always so outraged, right? Oh, how dare you not let us do our job of killing people? How dare you? Yeah. So she comes out with this whole statement of, well, if you let us have all the voter information, then we'll remove our thugs from your city. Yeah, we're not going to do that. The other thing she said that they want to give us all your illegal immigrants. Give us all your immigrants. What the? That's creepy. Now Stephen Miller wrote that post. That wasn't 45. He wrote that. It's like creepy. It's like someone asking for someone's sister's phone number and like pictures. You know, it's just creepy. Like, why do you want that? Is that because you want to put them all in a concentration camp? Is that why you want it? You just want to have everybody's... I mean, that's the thing. Here's the point now. Don't they already have all that? Doge infiltrated everybody's information. You really think they don't have all that? So, like when Bondi was like, give us all your voter rolls. So they're bribing. They were like threatening. What do you call it? Where it's like extortion. It's like, bitch, you already have it. Elon has it. I mean, we know that he infiltrated all the voter information. He knows. Go ask Elon. Maybe he's not talking to him right now. Maybe that's why they have to do this. But that, you know, that just showed that it's not about the daycare fraud, which was proven. There's no daycare fraud. And no Somalis are not eating cats and dogs. There's no daycare fraud. It's not even about illegal immigrants. It's about extortion. This is just a sick fantasy of 45 to watch people being killed and then raped in concentration camps, because I unfortunately believe that's happening. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with immigrants or illegal immigrants. It has nothing to do with that. This is about control. This is about abuse of power. This is about watching terror on the streets of America and punishment for that. Now, I think that after this weekend, I thought that he maybe had 30%, 33% approval rating. I think after this weekend, 45 has like 27%, if that. It's bad. And he was mad because Fox News showed like, oh, it says that he's got 40% or something like that, or 38%. No, if they're saying it's that high, you know it's like even worse. I'm getting 27%. It's bad. And then he pulled out of the Super Bowl appearance, which is wise because, yeah, he'd get booed. But I think it's more than that. I saw a couple weeks ago that if he ever, and now after this weekend, it's really bad, if he ever appeared in public again, in a regular public setting, people would rip him limb to limb. People are that mad. Because you don't kill innocent folks just trying to live their life. That poor guy. I mean, it's just, I sat Saturday, so I didn't go to work, and then it was dusk and the snow was falling, and I sat in the dark room and listened to Beethoven and watched the snow, and I just thought, this is such a grim, dark day. This day will go down in history as unbelievably like bloody Saturday in America. Bloodshed. Then, oh God, this really got me. So, I saw a video with the audio of these kids in Texas in this kids' concentration camp. There was an audio of these kids screaming for their mothers. They said they're not getting medical. I'm sure they're not getting any school. They don't have their parents. They don't have proper food, beds, heat. They said they're not even turning on the heat. And they're crying for their mothers. That broke me. I literally couldn't breathe. I sat and I couldn't breathe. And I just thought, my God, why? Somebody's got to do something. And I started to like tag all these like news stations and then BBC and like, please help, please help, help, help. Help these children. This can't happen. We can't do this. We've got to help these children. Please, God. Anybody. We can't do this. We can't. Can't. It's hard to exist in this world. I mean, when I say don't take anything weird about this, but it's hard to be in this world right now. It really is. This is horrible. It's hard to exist normally, and yet you have to, or you'll go insane. Like, I found myself Saturday, and I was just so depressed. I feel like I aged 10 years, literally. And you still have to exist. You have to. You have to. So you still have to, like, I forced myself to listen to some Beatles stuff and watch a movie. And it's just, but then I read the news again, and then I'm all, because it's so bad. And like, I got home from work last night, and I saw a video of a girl who was at the memorial for Alex. Only a day had gone by. People are mourning. She was at his memorial, and these agents shot her. And she was screaming and like dropping on the ground, writhing in pain and horror. It's awful. This is all from 45's inner demon. I mean, I don't have any other word. It's just the hellscape of his mind. This is how bad he is. When people said, why do you not like 45? And like even psychics and astrologers on YouTube saying he's a good guy and he's going to help humanity. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Because this is what I saw in his soul. This is what I saw he was capable of. Hell, total hell on earth with him. That's why I've fought so hard on my channel all this time. Horror upon horror on the streets of America. The only thing good, Tim Waltz, I was very impressed. He said he's been dealing with 45 all day and somehow came to some sort of agreement that they would pull some agents out. And of course, now they're going to try to go to Chicago again, which is terrible. I know some people in Chicago and they have little kids and they don't, nobody wants this. It's awful. But Tim Waltz dealt with it. He did a good job. We'll see what happens. It's like having to talk to the devil, It's like hard. Yeah, okay, so try to stay. But I do believe this is the breaking point. This is the breaking point. This is where other countries, like I said the other day, have had it. Because we can't allow this. As humanity, we can't allow. So here's the thing, too. I was thinking about, okay, so last night, and yesterday, I have this old movie channel on my TV. And they showed Kane Mutiny. It's an old movie about Humphrey Bogart is like this sort of crazy, egotistical captain of a naval ship. And then there's Van Johnson and someone else, and they begin to realize he's crazy. Fred McMurray's on there. He's crazy. And they start to think of mutiny. And then I think there is a mutiny during like a really crazy hurricane that they're trying to navigate through. And then afterwards, the trials of their mutiny. And I thought, that's interesting. Spirit keeps showing me this movie today. And I do feel there's a mutiny on the lips of the people in the White House and all around the country and the government. I really do. And even the NRA, there's mutiny. There's going to be money withheld from these special interest groups that have been funding the Supreme Court. And the NRA is a big one. There's a whole bunch of money fundings that are going to end because they realize that they can't have this blood on their hands. It's like it's went too far. And I do think there's going to be a mutiny. I do feel that. And what else did I want to say? That, because my phone's going to die. I don't want to leave things on a bad, obviously, what can you do? We're just like getting through this. Countries aren't going to wine and dine him anymore. And he's clearly not okay in the head. Clearly not. So, what else? I feel the energy pulling away. I do feel that Alex, like I talked about, I thought of John Lennon because he reminded me of him in certain pictures, and then the way he was killed reminded me of how John was killed, and that, with John, it was like the 9/11 thing where it was an outside. It was like like it didn't make sense, right? A senseless act of violence. Here, it's senseless, but it's amongst us, and it's our government. Of course, I feel the government had something to do with John's death as well, but there's something to this with Alex and with John where they are both people who will, in history, be figures of peace. And like Martin Luther King and John F. Kennedy and Gandhi and all these people, and even like George Floyd and others, they're all, it's horrible. It's horrible. The only mercy is that he died fast, right? He died really fast. And he didn't suffer much. It was terrifying. It was awful. But at least he didn't suffer. And now I really feel that Alex Preddy is going to be an instrument, a figure of peace on the earth, and will help us. Because he was a good guy. It makes me cry. He was somebody's son. And it's just so senseless. It really is. So the last thing I want to say is, okay, the mutiny thing is going to happen, I believe. And the other thing is that, with wars, a lot of wars, like let's say World War II, where we finally had to go over to Germany and we had to send armed forces to Germany to stop what was happening there. Hitler had gone out, he was out of control, and there was lawlessness and murder, blatant genocide. And, I do feel that the icy roads, a lot of it is originating with orders from Israel, and they're doing it Gaza style. And people have mentioned the IDF, again, for entertainment purposes only. Okay, moving on from that. I'm just intuitive. But when we sent our troops over to Germany, and then Russia did too, sometimes you have to have violence to stop violence, but it's more like a protection thing. And it really is more of what really happens. It's not the violence, because violence never really stops violence. It's what it is when people come together in united force against the enemy. So a united stance, people coming together to outnumber and outmaneuver and overwhelm the enemy, the violence. That's what really works. Because look, Alex had a gun. He didn't have it in his hands. He didn't really have any intention to use it, but he had it. He probably always had it on. He's just one of those guys. He worked at the VA. But it's, people say, violence will stop violence. Well, not really. Anybody out there could go out there tonight and probably the same thing would happen. So it's not, violence doesn't ever really stop violence. It's when people come together and are a united front against the enemy, that's what stops things like this. That's what would stop 45. So that means the Supreme Court, Republicans joining Democrats, Congress coming together, everyone across the country, people like the NRA and Google and other corporations coming together to stand up against 45 and this program. That's what will stop this, a united front of allies against the enemy. That's what we need, and I see that happening. And unfortunately, Alex and others had to die for this, but not in vain, because I do believe that it's like I know it's just cliche, but I saw a dove. So it's like the dove coming back on the Noah's Ark and giving hope. His death was so awful, senseless, this beautiful human being, but it has brought change because it was like everyone woke up to say, oh my God, this is like a nightmare and I don't want to be in this. It's gone too far, too far. No more. So I'm going to end this here. You watch this beautiful sunset is happening here. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a beautiful night. These are dark times, but we will get through it. We will. Things change eventually. And I do see things changing. I do. I absolutely do. So thanks for listening, you guys. Take care. Bye.